Hello, welcome to tutorial 210. What this tutorial does is demonstrate some techniques whereby that you could have a drawing object such as a horizontal line on the chart, and when it was close to a particular point, which in this case is a high pivot, it will click down to that point. It will be sort of attracted to the point. And if we have a situation where it's between two different pivots, then it'll go to the one that is nearest. If it is higher than any of the high pivots visible, then it will go to the highest, like so. And if it is below any of the pivots, then it will go to whatever the lowest pivot is, which is this one here. The way it does this, first of all, the program notes that the date time of the left of the chart, date time of the right of the chart, and it only calculates the pivots between those 2 points. It also incidentally continues looking for pivots as new bars develop, but what it doesn't do is remove pivots that go off the left of the chart. So if we were actually to scroll back here, we won't see any other pivots calculated because we're just doing it between the left of the chart and the right of the chart. Having done that, what it does is stores those pivots into a vector, and then the other thing it does is when it's first applied to the chart, it creates this horizontal line. I've just refreshed the chart, and it does that approximately in the middle of the chart. So the way this thing works is each time the line is moved, we use a horizontal line moving event, and that keeps a record of what price it's currently at. Then when we let go of the mouse, the chart element click event fires, then we can sort the vector and go through the vector to see which of the pivots it is closest to. So let's have a look at the program and see if that will make a bit more sense. So the guts of the program is we have the horizontal line moving, and that stores the value of the zero price into a variable called zero value. And incidentally, zero value, if we just look at the variables, is set as intrabar persist, like so. So that's while the line's moving. When we let go of the mouse, we get the charting host chart element click firing, and we do a couple of things there. First of all, we sort the vector, and what this does, it puts the highest values, the value of the highest pivots at the top of the vector in the zero position, and they get gradually smaller. And then we go through and compare the price with the values in the pivot vector. And we say if it is greater than the highest value in the pivot vector, then we set the zero value to that value. If it is lower than the lowest pivot in the pivot vector, we set it to the lowest, and then if it's somewhere in between, we go through and compare the value of the line with the pivot above, pivot below. If it is between those values, we then work out which one it is closest to, and we set the price of the line to that value. And you'll see here we're setting the zero val to the values in the vector, but then we reset back zero dot price, which is the price of the actual horizontal line, to zero val. And incidentally, using this code, the charting element, chart element click, and the horizontal line moving, it looks complicated, but what you can do if you've got the toolbox open is find one of these items. For example, let's just see if we can see. Here we go, horizontal line. So if we double click on horizontal line, and then you'll see that we can put in information here, and we can also create events. So I use the moving events. What we'd simply do is double click there, and you'll notice that has added some code to the program. But what you can also do is go to the designer generated code by going view, designer generated code, and then you can copy the syntax into the program, so you don't need to type all this out. So I'm just going to close that because we don't need another horizontal line. I'm going to delete that, and what I'm also going to do is just remove the syntax for the event, because that is no longer relevant. So let's just look at some the rest of the program. You'll see that in the one statement, we get the value of the left of the chart and the right of the chart, and we convert those into datetime class values. We also set up the charting host, and again, just like with the horizontal line, the charting host, you can find that here, double click, and then you can copy the code from the designer generated code. And we also create the vector. That's all in the one statement. If it is the end of the bar and the bar date time is greater than the value on the left, the bar date time is less than the value on the right, in other words, we're in the window that we're looking at, what we do is we calculate the pivot. So this all happens at the end of each bar. We look for pivots using the standard pivot function. If the value of that pivot function is 1, in other words, it means there's a high pivot. And incidentally, you can right click on any of these functions to see what the function actually how it works. But anyway, if it's a high pivot, in other words, value 1 equals 1, then we plot the value, and I've just happened to have set the left-hand strength and right-hand strength to 4, so we plot it 4 bars ago, and then we also put the value of the price into the vector. And then this little area here, we're just finding out the lowest low and highest high on the chart, and we can set the initial value of the line using those, so it's approximately in the middle of the chart. Another one statement, and in this one statement what we do, this is on the last bar of the chart, is we create the horizontal line, we set it to persist, and we set the color and the weight and the style, etc. Then we add that to the chart. And then also this is the moving event. It's 0.moving plus equals horizontal line moving, and that is the thing that fires when the line moves. And then we also do an initial sort of the vector there. This little area at the bottom, we get the right date time, left date time using get app info, and we convert those into the datetime object format using the syntax here. So it takes the value that this is, I think, in a Julian basis, and converts it into a date time. And let's just see if there's anything else that I haven't mentioned. The one statement, there's the horizontal line moving event, here's the chart element click method, and then we've got the variables and the inputs, and we've also got namespaces because we're using EL system for datetime class, we're using drawing for the color class, we're using collections for the vector, drawing objects for the horizontal line, and charting for the charting host. So we need to include those at the top of the program using. Anyway, hopefully you might find this technique useful. If you're not already, please go to markplex.com, that's markplex.com, and join the email list. Of course, sign up to the YouTube channel or the Facebook site or wherever you're seeing this video, and also consider joining Gold Pass, where there is a lot of useful training materials plus some free programs and tutorials. So thank you very much.